Let me tell you about the winter my son saved my life by breaking my heart. Christmas Eve, 1994. Power was out from the ice storm, and I was tucking Tommy into bed by candlelight. 8 years old, my boy. Quiet kid. Too quiet, I'd been thinking. But what did I know? I worked 60-hour weeks, wiring houses across 3 counties. He grabbed my flannel sleeve. His hand was cold, not from the winter, from something else. Dad, he whispered. Mom's friend sleeps in your bed when you go to job sites. The ice kept ticking against the windows, little clocks counting down to something. I looked at the doorway. Linda stood there in the shadows, and her face, it didn't deny a thing. She was calculating, figuring her next move. Downstairs, Craig's voice. Linda, can you help me with the couch? The man had been in my house 6 hours. Roads were iced shut. We weren't going anywhere for 3 days. 11 months. Tommy had carried that secret. 11 months. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up 6 hours to when everything still looked like it was supposed to. I was up on the ladder that afternoon, stringing lights on the garage. 12 degrees, and my fingers were going numb even through the wool gloves. Been doing this same route for 30 years. Clip the lights to the eaves, test the bulbs, make sure the extension cord reaches. My father built this house in 1952, and I'd kept it the way he left it. Aluminum siding, single-car garage, chain-link fence around the yard. Paid off in '87. That kind of thing matters when you work with your hands. Tommy was out front building a snowman. I watched him from the ladder. He'd found buttons for the eyes, but they didn't match. One black, one brown. Something about that bothered me, though I couldn't say why. Linda was inside baking cookies. I could smell them through the kitchen window. Sugar and cinnamon. Wood smoke from the Kowalski's chimney next door. 30 years we'd been married. Not perfect, but whose marriage is? You put in the work, keep your promises, provide. That's what a man does. I came down the ladder and headed for the side door. My truck sat in the driveway, the old '86 Ford I'd been nursing along. Started rough in the cold, but it always started. You maintain things right, they last. Inside, Linda was pulling a sheet of cookies from the oven, burned on the edges, not like her. She kept glancing at the window, watching the driveway. Expecting someone? I asked. What? No. Just checking the weather. The cookies smelled wrong. Not bad, just off. Like when you wire a circuit and one connection isn't quite flush. Everything works, but you know it's not right. Tommy came in through the front, tracking snow. His snowsuit was wet, but not from playing. More like he'd been standing still, getting cold. You okay, bud? He nodded. Didn't look at me. Go get changed. Dinner's at 6. He went upstairs without a word. 8 years old shouldn't be that quiet. The headlights hit the window around 4:30. Linda's whole body changed, straightened up, touched her hair. I was at the kitchen table with the newspaper, but I saw it. The knock came too loud, too familiar. Nobody knocks like that unless they've knocked before. Linda rushed to the door. I stayed at the table. Craig, oh my God, come in, you must be freezing. Craig Bellamy. Owned the gym where Tommy played basketball, 38, maybe 40. Built like he still thought he was playing college ball. Yellow hair, expensive jacket, overnight bag in his hand, an overnight bag. For a welfare check. Hey, buddy. He said it to Tommy, who'd come back downstairs. Tommy didn't smile back. Walt. Craig nodded at me. Used my first name like we were friends. We weren't friends. Storm's supposed to be bad, he said, setting his bag down in my mudroom. Just wanted to make sure you guys were okay. Linda was already pouring him coffee. Knew where the good mugs were, the ones we saved for holidays. That's thoughtful, I said. Well, you know, neighbors helping neighbors. We weren't neighbors, he lived across town. He sat down at the table without being asked, picked up the sports section like he'd done it 100 times before. Linda served him a plate of cookies. Served him first, then me. That's not how it worked in this house. Or it hadn't been. The ice started hitting the windows around 5. Little taps, then harder. The lights flickered once, twice. Might lose power, Craig said. Good thing I brought candles. He pulled a pack from his jacket pocket. Our brand. The ones Linda bought at the hardware store. The lights went out at 5:40. Tommy was sitting on the stairs, watching everything. His eyes moved between his mother and Craig, then to me, waiting for something, waiting for me to see it. Linda lit the candles Craig brought. The flames made shadows on the walls, and suddenly my house felt different. Smaller, like someone else's place. Well, Craig said, stretching back in my chair, my recliner, the one with the split armrest I'd been meaning to fix. Looks like I'm stuck here till morning. Roads are gonna be hell. He said it like it was an accident, but his bag was too packed for an accident. Toiletries, change of clothes, phone charger, coiled neat. You don't pack like that for a quick check-in. Dinner was strange. Linda made pot roast, and she served it wrong. Craig first, then Tommy, then me. She asked Craig how he wanted his coffee. She already knew. She didn't ask me. Tommy ate 3 bites and asked to be excused. It's Christmas Eve, Linda said. You need to finish your dinner. I'm not hungry. Thomas, let him go, I said. She glared at me. Then her face shifted, softened. Okay, sweetie, go brush your teeth. After Tommy left, Craig told a story about the gym, some problem with the lease. Linda laughed at the punchline. I didn't hear a punchline. Around 8, I went out to the garage. Needed air, needed to think. The space heater glowed orange in the corner. I sat on the stool by my workbench and looked at my father's tools. Klein pliers from 1951, still perfect. Wire strippers wrapped in oilcloth. He'd worked 47 years to buy this house, passed it to me with a handshake and 5 words. Take care of your family. I was trying. I thought I was trying. When I came back inside, Craig was coming out of my bathroom. My bathroom. Upstairs. There was a half bath by the kitchen, no reason to go upstairs. Needed to wash my hands, he said, passing me in the hallway. I went into the bathroom. My razor was on the sink, not in the drawer where I kept it, on the sink. In the bedroom, I checked the nightstand. Linda's side. There was a pack of Marlboro Reds in the back. Linda quit smoking in 1989. I was there. 6 months of nicotine gum and bad moods, but she quit. Craig smoked Marlboro Reds. I'd seen the pack in his jacket. I picked up the pack. The tax stamp said July 1994. 3 months old. 3 months of someone smoking in my bedroom. 10 o'clock. Time to get Tommy to bed. Christmas Eve ritual. I always tucked him in, told him about Santa, made sure he was settled. I went to his room. He was under the covers, staring at the ceiling. Big day tomorrow, I said, sitting on the edge of his bed. Santa's coming. Dad. Yeah, Bud. His hand shot out and grabbed my sleeve. His hand was so cold. Dad, I need to tell you something. The ice kept ticking. The candle on his dresser flickered. What is it? He looked at the door. Linda's shape moved in the hallway, listening. Mom's friend sleeps in your bed when you go to job sites. The room went very quiet. Even the ice seemed to stop. Tommy, Linda's voice from the hallway. I looked up. She was standing in the doorway, and her face wasn't panicked, wasn't apologetic. She was thinking, calculating, figuring out what to say, what story would work. From downstairs, Linda, can you help me with the couch? Craig's voice. Comfortable? Easy. Like he lived here. I looked back at Tommy. His eyes were wet, terrified. Did I do something wrong? He whispered. I couldn't answer. Didn't have words yet. Linda disappeared down the hallway. I heard her footsteps on the stairs. The ice storm howled louder. We weren't going anywhere. Not for 3 days. I went downstairs. Had to. Couldn't hide in Tommy's room all night, and the boy needed to sleep. Needed to think I had this handled. Even if I didn't. Craig and Linda were in the living room, arranging blankets on the couch. They moved around each other like dancers who'd practiced the steps. She handed him a pillow. He knew which one he wanted. All set? I asked. Linda jumped. Oh, yes. Just making sure Craig's comfortable. Guest room's upstairs, I said. Bed's already made. Couch is fine, Craig said. Smiled at me. Don't want to be any trouble. But he was already trouble. He just didn't know I knew it yet. I went to bed. Linda came up 20 minutes later. She got under the covers on her side, and we lay there in the dark, not touching. The ice kept hitting the windows. Down the hall, I could hear Tommy crying, soft, trying not to be heard. I didn't sleep. Christmas morning, the power was still out and the house was cold. I got up before dawn, got the fire going in the fireplace. Old habit from my father. You take care of the warmth first, then everything else. Craig came down around 7, hair wet. He'd use my shower again. Use my towel. I could see it hanging wrong on the rack through the bathroom door. Merry Christmas, Walt. He headed straight for the coffee pot. Knew where Linda kept the filters. Knew how much coffee she used. 2 scoops, not 3. I watched him from the doorway. Linda came down in her robe. Smiled at Craig first, then at me. That order mattered. Tommy stayed upstairs until we called him. Came down in his pajamas, wouldn't look at anyone. There were presents under the tree. I'd bought Tommy a new baseball glove. Linda got him clothes. And there, in the back, 3 wrapped boxes with Craig's name on the tags. He'd brought presents to my house for my family's Christmas. Tommy opened his gifts slow. The glove, the clothes, a book from his aunt. Then Linda handed him one of Craig's boxes. Mr. Bellamy brought you something too. Tommy held it like it might bite, opened it careful. It was a basketball jersey. Nice one. Official. Had Tommy's last name printed on the back. Thought you'd like that, champ, Craig said, for when you make the travel team. Tommy set it aside. Didn't say thank you. I didn't make him. Linda opened her gift from Craig next. Perfume. Expensive bottle. French name I couldn't pronounce. She sprayed some on her wrist, held it up to smell. Her eyes closed. She smiled. I gave her a sweater. Practical. From Sears. She said it was nice. folded it, and set it with Tommy's pile. Craig opened his gift from Linda. A watch, leather band, clean face, not cheap. When did you get that? I asked. A few weeks ago, Linda said. I've been planning Christmas gifts since November. November? 2 months of her shopping for Craig while I was on the Pennsylvania job site. We ate breakfast. Linda cooked eggs, gave Craig scrambled. His preference, apparently, gave me fried. Wrong. I always ate scrambled. 30 years, she knew that. Or she forgot. Or she was so used to cooking for Craig, she forgot which man she was married to. After breakfast, Craig sat in my chair, the recliner, remote in his hand, flipping through channels. Leg kicked up on the footrest. Linda brought him coffee without asking. Knew he was running low. I went to the garage, needed to think, needed space. The space heater hummed in the corner. I sat on my stool and stared at the wall. My father's tools hung there, organized, labeled, each one clean and oiled. He never said much, just worked. Came home, fixed things, went to bed. I'd learned from watching him, learned that silence was strength, that you showed love by providing, not by talking. But maybe that was wrong. Maybe silence was just silence. The door opened. Eddie Kern stuck his head in. My foreman from the union lived 4 houses down. Merry Christmas, Walt. Saw your light on. Eddie, come in. Close the door. He stepped inside, stomped snow off his boots. Power still out? Yeah. He looked at me close. You okay? Fine. You look like hell. Didn't sleep. He pulled up a milk crate, sat down. Wanted to talk to you about something. Nothing urgent, just... Union flagged some pension stuff. Irregular withdrawals. Probably a clerical thing, but you should check your statements. My stomach dropped. What kind of withdrawals? Nothing huge. A few hundred here and there over the last year. They're trying to track it down. Your name's on the account, but the signatures look off. Off how? Too neat, like someone copied it careful but not quite right. I thought about Linda, her handwriting, how she always handled the bills, the paperwork. Said she was helping, taking stress off me while I worked overtime. I'll check it, I said. Probably nothing, Eddie said. But, better safe. He left. I sat there until my fingers went numb from the cold. That afternoon, Linda made dinner, pot roast again, from yesterday's leftovers. She and Craig worked in the kitchen together, her chopping, him stirring, both of them laughing about something I wasn't part of. Tommy sat on the stairs, watching me watch them. Around 2 a.m, I couldn't take it anymore. Got up, went downstairs. Linda was in the kitchen with a candle, crying. Walt, I sat down at the table. Talk to me. She wiped her eyes. The crying looked real. Maybe it was. I'm so sorry. For what? I was only. You were gone so much, 6 weeks in Pennsylvania. And I needed someone to talk to. So you talked to Craig. It was just emotional, nothing physical. I swear to God, Walt, nothing happened. He was just there, and you weren't. I wanted to believe her. Would have been easier. We could get counseling, work through it, keep Tommy's life stable, keep the house, keep everything I'd built. It's over now, she said. I told him it was a mistake. He just needed a place to stay during the storm. After this, he's gone, I promise. I looked at her face. Searched for the woman I married. She was in there somewhere. Had to be. Okay, I said. She grabbed my hand. Thank you, God. Thank you, Walt. We'll fix this. I'll fix this. I went back to bed. She followed. We lay there in the dark. Then I heard it. Soft. Craig, walking upstairs, past the guest room. Past the bathroom. His footsteps stopped outside our bedroom door. He was listening, making sure we were asleep. Then he walked back downstairs. I lay there, heart pounding, and smelled it. Cigarette smoke. Faint, coming from Linda's pillow. She'd quit in 1989, 6 years ago. But the Marlboro Reds in the nightstand were 3 months old, and Craig smoked Marlboro Reds, and Linda's pillow smelled like smoke. The ice kept ticking against the windows. 3 days trapped. 3 days of watching Craig sit in my chair, drink my coffee, laugh with my wife. 3 days of Tommy staring at me, waiting for me to do something. The phone rang around noon the next day. Wall-mounted in the kitchen, Linda answered it. Oh, hi, Eddie. Yes, Merry Christmas. Her voice went too bright, too cheerful. Walt? Sure, he's right here. She handed me the phone. Her hand shook. Eddie's voice came through. Walt, got a minute? Need to talk about that pension thing. It's not clerical. Hold on. I took the phone to the garage, cord stretched tight. What'd you find? $43,000, gone, over 11 months. Forged signatures. Handwriting expert confirmed it. Someone's been pulling cash out since April. April. 1 month after Tommy said the affair started. You need to check your files, Eddie said. Insurance, mortgage, anything Linda had access to. My daughter got cleaned out by a boyfriend 5 years ago. This feels the same. I hung up. Went to the filing cabinet in the basement, started pulling folders. Mortgage refinance papers I never signed. Quit claim deed attempt, trying to make the house marital property so she could force a sale. Life insurance beneficiary changed from Tommy to Craig Bellamy. Every document dated after March 1994. I climbed the stairs. Linda was in the living room with Craig, watching him flip through a photo album. Our photo album, wedding pictures, Tommy as a baby. Linda, kitchen, now, she came. Craig stayed on the couch but watched us. I spread the papers on the table. Did you change my insurance beneficiary to Craig? Her face went white. It's not what it looks like. What's it look like? You're overreacting. I can explain. Craig appeared in the doorway. Everything okay? I picked up the wrench I'd left on the counter, felt the weight of it, cold metal, heavy enough to do damage. Tommy was at the top of the stairs, watching, learning what men do when they're betrayed. I set the wrench down, looked at Craig. Roads are clear enough. Get out. Linda? Craig looked at her, not at me, at her. She didn't say anything. Get out, I said again. He smiled. Actually smiled. She's already chosen, Walt. You just don't know it yet. He grabbed his coat. Linda followed him to the door. They stood there talking, too quiet for me to hear. Then he left, and she came back inside. We need a lawyer, I said. First words I'd spoken in 2 days. I went back to the filing cabinet, pulled every folder, spread the papers across the garage workbench under the shop light. Eddie showed up an hour later with a ledger. Union pension fund records. Color-coded, meticulous. That's Eddie. Electrician for 30 years, keeps everything organized. Withdrawals started April 2nd, he said, running his finger down the columns. Every 2 weeks, never more than 2,000 at a time. Smart, small enough not to trigger automatic review. I laid out my documents next to his, the mortgage refinance, the insurance change, credit card statements I'd never seen before, Linda's name, my supposed signature, charges at Craig's gym going back to March. When Tommy said it started, timeline matches, Eddie said. Affair starts, theft starts 1 month later. He looked at me. This wasn't impulse, Walt, this was planned. We built it out on cardboard. March 94, Linda joins gym. April 94, first pension withdrawal. July 94, insurance beneficiary changed. November 94, quit claim deed attempted. Every helpful offer to handle paperwork. Every, don't worry about it, I'll sign for you while you're at the job site. All of it theft. Eddie pulled a folder from his coat. Found something else. Remember when Linda asked me about contesting your dad's will back in '82? What? Year after your dad died, she asked me about it at a church picnic. Said the house should be marital property since you inherited it after marriage. I told her that's not how inheritance works. He opened the folder. I mentioned it to your brother Ray. He stopped talking to me for 6 months. I stared at the papers. She tried this before. 12 years ago, different target, same play. The door opened. Tommy stood there in his coat and boots. Dad? Mrs. Halloran called. She wants to meet about my grades. Your grades are fine. They're not. He looked at the floor. I'm failing everything. I met Mrs. Halloran at the school 2 days later. She's been teaching 3rd grade for 28 years. Knows every kid's handwriting, every behavior pattern. She spread out Tommy's work. Math tests, blank. Reading comprehension, incomplete. His handwriting had gotten shaky, small, like he was trying to disappear into the page. This started in March, she said. Last year he was a B student. This year, she pulled out a drawing. Construction paper, crayons, a family. 2 figures, one labeled Dad, one labeled Tommy, and the 3rd figure stood away from them. Yellow hair, labeled Mom's friend. He drew this in October. I asked him about it. He said, the man who sits in Daddy's chair. My throat closed up. There's more. She showed me incident reports. Bedwetting started March. Fighting at recess started April. Refusing to speak in class started May. He told me 2 weeks ago, I made Dad sad by telling a secret. What secret, Walt? I told her. Had to. She sat back. He's been carrying this for 11 months. An 8-year-old. Alone. I didn't know. He was protecting you. Children do that. They think if they stay quiet, the problem goes away. She leaned forward. But silence doesn't protect anyone, Walt. It just lets the poison spread. I drove home in the dark. Found Tommy under his bed, hiding like he used to do when he was 4 and scared of thunderstorms. Tommy, come out. Am I in trouble for telling? I pulled him out, held him on the floor. You saved us both. Yeah, but you're sad now. Because Mom made bad choices, not because you told the truth. His whole body shook. Will you leave like Mr. Craig did? I'm not going anywhere, but I need you to be brave one more time. How? I pulled out Maureen Cole's business card, Eddie's referral, family law attorney who specialized in fraud cases. We're going to tell a judge what happened, and you're going to have to say it out loud again. Can you do that? He looked at the card, then at me. Will you be there? Right behind you. Hand on your shoulder, the whole time. He nodded. I called Maureen from the kitchen phone. Linda watched from the living room trying to hear. I'm ready to file, I said, and my son will testify. Linda's face went from fear to rage to calculation. She grabbed her purse and left. Came back an hour later with papers of her own. She'd hired a lawyer, expensive one. Where'd she get the money? I already knew. I stopped talking. Not to Tommy, never to Tommy, but to Linda, to everyone else. I just stopped. Went to the garage every night after work and stayed there till midnight. Space heater glowing orange, radio playing old country stations. Worked on the truck, didn't need fixing, but I worked on it anyway. Linda tried everything, started with apologies. She'd come out to the garage with dinner on a plate, set it on the workbench. Walt, please, we need to talk about this. I'd look at the carburetor I was rebuilding, not at her. It was a mistake. I was lonely, but it's over. He's gone. The plate would sit there till the food went cold. She'd take it back inside. 3 days later, she tried anger. You were never home. 6 weeks in Pennsylvania, leaving me alone with a child. What did you expect? I cleaned spark plugs, didn't look up. You can't ignore me forever, Walt. This is my house, too. It wasn't. My father built it. I inherited it before we got married. But she'd already tried to change that with the quitclaim deed. A week passed, then another. Linda got nervous, started watching me from the kitchen window. I could feel her eyes while I worked. Tommy brought me coffee every morning before school, stood in the garage doorway in his backpack, holding the mug with both hands. Dad, are you leaving? No, bud. Are you mad at me? Never. Then why won't you talk? I didn't have an answer for that. The truth was, I'd learned silence from my father. He came home from the steel mill, ate dinner, fixed things, went to bed, never raised his voice, never said I love you, just worked. Figured that was how men showed love. By providing, by being there, by not causing trouble. But now I was doing the same thing. And Tommy was watching, learning that when life gets hard, you go quiet. Swallow it down. Don't make waves. My father died alone in this garage, radio playing big band music. Heart attack at 68, I found him slumped over his workbench. He never told us he'd been having chest pains. Never complained, just stayed silent until silence killed him. And here I was, teaching Tommy the same poison. January 15th. Report card came in the mail. All Fs. Tommy had been a B student in the fall. Mrs. Halloran's note. We need to talk. This is serious. Linda opened the envelope first. Read it in the kitchen. Didn't say a word to me. Just set it on the counter and walked away. I sat in the garage that night, staring at those Fs. 11 months Tommy had carried this. 11 months of bedwetting, nightmares, failing school. All because he thought telling the truth was wrong. Because he was learning from me that silence was safety. The phone rang inside, didn't answer it, let it ring. 20 minutes later, Eddie showed up, knocked on the garage door. You gonna make me stand in the cold or can I come in? I opened the door. He sat on the milk crate. Mrs. Halloran called me, said you won't return her calls, said Tommy's drowning. I know. So what are you doing about it? I don't know. Eddie looked at me for a long time. My daughter was 19 when her boyfriend started stealing from her, maxed out her credit cards, forged her signature on a car loan. Took me 6 months to figure it out because she was too ashamed to tell me. Eddie, she tried to kill herself, Walt. Pills. We found her in time, got her stomach pumped, but he stopped, swallowed hard. She's okay now, married, 2 kids. But she told me later, she said she stayed quiet because she thought that's what she was supposed to do, thought asking for help meant she failed. He stood up. You're teaching Tommy the same thing right now. That silence is strength, but it's not. It's just fear with a different name. After he left, I sat there until my hands went numb. Sunday morning, church. Father Nowak's sermon was about forgiveness and marital fidelity. People kept glancing our way. Linda stared straight ahead. Tommy held my hand tighter than usual. After Mass, 3 older women hugged me in the parking lot. Didn't say anything, just squeezed tight and moved on. Mrs. O'Malley, Mrs. Kowalski, my cousin's wife, and Irene Brennan. Linda's mother, Irene, stood there for a second looking at her daughter across the parking lot. Then she walked over to me instead. Put her hand on my shoulder. You're a good man, Walt. Better than she deserves. Linda saw it, her own mother choosing sides. That's when a truck pulled into the lot. Ray, my brother. Hadn't seen him in 12 years. Not since Dad's funeral, when we fought over the will. Ray got the tools, I got the house. We both felt cheated. He parked and walked over, nodded at me. Eddie called, said you needed help. I don't need... Yeah, you do. Nobody touches a Kowalski's pension. That's blood money. Our father worked 47 years for that. Linda stood by her car, watching, realizing she was outnumbered. Ray handed me a folder. Found this in my attic from 1982, year after Dad died. Linda asked me about contesting the will. Wanted me to claim the house should have been split. I said no. We stopped talking after that. I thought you put her up to it. I opened the folder. Legal documents. Notes in Linda's handwriting. Planning to contest Dad's will before the ink was dry. She's done this before, Ray said. Just picked a different target this time. Tommy came over, stood next to me. Ray looked down at him. You must be Tommy. I'm your Uncle Ray. Your dad and I used to be stupid. We're done being stupid now. That afternoon, I took Tommy to the diner. Neutral ground. Ordered him a grilled cheese and fries. Am I going to have to live with Mom? He asked. I don't know yet. That's what the judge decides. I don't want to. Well, why not? Because she told me not to tell. She said it would hurt you, but it hurt more to keep quiet. I looked at my 8-year-old son, braver than me, braver than my father. Braver than 2 generations of Kowalski men who thought silence was strength. Eddie slid into the booth next to Tommy. Wasn't a coincidence. I'd asked him to meet us. He pulled out a business card. Walt, you know what you gotta do. I looked at the card. Maureen Cole, family law, Eddie's referral. My daughter wished she'd spoken up sooner. Eddie told Tommy. You were brave. You told the truth. Now your dad's gotta be brave too. Tommy looked at me. Will you tell the judge? We both will. I went to the payphone, dropped in a quarter, called the number. Maureen Cole. My name's Walt Kowalski. I need to file for divorce, fraud charges, full custody. I looked back at the booth. Tommy was eating his fries. Eddie had his hand on the boy's shoulder, and my son will testify. Maureen Cole's office sat above the hardware store on Main Street. Not fancy, just clean and organized, like she didn't need to impress anybody. She spread my documents across her desk. Eddie's pension ledger, the motel receipts Craig left in his jacket, forged signatures, the quitclaim deed attempt. Her eyes moved fast, taking it all in. $43,000 from the pension, insurance beneficiary changed, mortgage refinance you never signed. She looked up. Your wife's systematic. I'll give her that. Can we win? I asked. With this evidence? Yes. But it'll be hard on your son. Eddie leaned forward. He's already been carrying this for 11 months. Court can't be worse than that. Maureen pulled out a legal pad, started sketching strategy in handwriting that reminded me of circuit diagrams, clean lines, clear connections. Think of marriage like electrical wiring, she said. Your wife blew every connection. Pension, blown. Trust, blown. Fidelity, blown. Our job is to pull the walls apart and show the judge exactly where it shorted out. She got it. Talked in language I understood. Filing fee is $300, retainer is $3,000. Can you afford that? I had it. Savings from overtime. Money I'd been putting away for Tommy's college. I can afford it. Good. Because Linda's going to hire someone expensive, and they'll paint you as an absent father. Gone 6 weeks at a time, emotionally unavailable. We need to prove you were providing, not abandoning. Eddie pulled out his phone. I got payroll records showing Walt's overtime. Every extra shift he worked to pay for Tommy's braces, new roof, the kids' basketball fees. Maureen wrote it down. Perfect. We'll need testimony too. Teacher, neighbors, union brothers, people who saw you at Tommy's games, school conferences, church. His teacher, Mrs. Halloran, I said. She's been tracking Tommy's decline since March. Even better, timeline evidence. Shows the affair directly harmed the child. She flipped a page. Filing deadline is February 3rd. That's 2 weeks. Can Tommy handle testifying? I thought about it. About my boy, under the bed, asking if he'd done something wrong. About 11 months of silence. If he has to, but I'll be there, right behind him. You will be. Hand on his shoulder, in his line of sight. I'll make sure of it. She stood up. Let me be clear, this will get ugly. Linda's lawyer will bring up every business trip, every missed dinner, every time you chose work over family time. You ready for that? I chose work so Tommy could have a house, food, braces, a future. I know, and we'll make the judge know it too. She handed me a contract. Sign here. We file Friday. I signed. Eddie shook my hand. One more thing, Eddie said as we left. Your brother Ray called me. He's got something you need to see. Ray showed up at my house that evening, first time in 12 years. Stood on the porch with a cardboard box, snow falling around him. Can I come in? Linda's upstairs. Good. Want her to hear this. We sat at the kitchen table. Ray opened the box, pulled out papers from 1982. Year after Dad died, Linda came to me at the VFW hall, asked me about contesting the will, said the house should be marital property, even though you inherited it before marriage. Said you two were struggling, needed the equity. What? She wanted me to challenge it, claimed Dad was mentally unfit when he signed the will, get it overturned, force a sale, split the money. Ray pushed the papers toward me. I said no, told her that's not how inheritance works. We stopped talking after that. I thought you put her up to it. I read through the notes. Linda's handwriting, legal research on will contests, names of lawyers she'd consulted. She tried this 12 years ago, I said. Same playbook, find a weakness, exploit it, take the money. Only difference is she picked Craig this time instead of me. Linda appeared at the top of the stairs. She'd heard everything. That was different, she said. We needed money. We had money, I said. I was working double shifts. It wasn't enough. For what? For this? I held up the gym membership receipts. For Craig? She came down the stairs. You don't understand what it's like being invisible. Being just the electrician's wife while everyone else what? Has more money, better cars? Ray stood up. Dad worked 47 years in a steel mill, came home with burns on his hands every day, never complained, bought this house one paycheck at a time, and you wanted to sell it to fund your midlife crisis. Get out, Linda said. Gladly. Ray looked at me. I'm testifying, showing the judge this isn't impulse, it's pattern. She's been working this angle since before I stopped talking to you. After he left, Linda and I stood in the kitchen. The house was quiet except for the furnace running. You're really going through with this, she said. You stole from me, from Tommy's future. Changed my insurance to make Craig the beneficiary. What did you think would happen? I think you're going to regret this. Already do. Should have seen it sooner. The next day, Maureen's office again, this time with Tommy. After school, 3:30, winter sun already setting. Maureen had action figures on her desk. G.I. Joe, a Barbie, a green army man. Tommy, let's practice. Pretend this G.I. Joe is you. This Barbie is your mom. This soldier is Mr. Craig. Tommy looked at me. I nodded. Where did you see them together? Maureen asked. Tommy moved the figures. In Dad's room, when Dad was in Pennsylvania. How did you know? I woke up one night, heard voices, looked in the room. Mr. Craig was there. What happened when you told your dad? Tommy's voice got small. Mom got scared. She said I misunderstood, but I didn't. Maureen's voice stayed gentle. Why didn't you tell sooner? Because, Tommy started crying, because I thought it was my fault, that I did something wrong, and that's why Mom liked Mr. Craig better. I moved to grab him, but Maureen shook her head. Let him finish. It was never your fault, she said. You were protecting your dad. That's brave. That's what we're going to tell the judge. That you told the truth even when it was scary. Tommy wiped his eyes. Will a lot of people hear? Yes. But they'll believe you, because you're telling the truth. We drove home in silence. Tommy fell asleep against the window. I looked at him in the rearview mirror, 8 years old, braver than any Marine I'd served with in Vietnam. At a stoplight, I said it out loud for the first time in his life. I'm proud of you, son. He didn't wake up. But I'd said it, the words my father never gave me. We could break the curse, one word at a time. February 5th, Sunday morning, St. Casimir's Catholic Church, same pew we'd sat in for 30 years. Linda and I hadn't spoken in 3 days. Tommy sat between us like a buffer. Father Nowak's sermon was about forgiveness, reconciliation between husband and wife, the sanctity of marriage vows. People kept glancing our way. The whispers had spread. Small town, church gossip moves faster than electricity. After Mass, we filed out to the parking lot. That's when the process server approached. Linda Kowalski? Yes? He handed her the papers. Divorce petition, fraud charges, emergency custody motion, restraining order against Craig Bellamy, 500 feet from Tommy at all times. She opened the envelope right there in front of everyone. Read the first page. Her face went white. You're really doing this? Here? I stood with Ray on one side, Eddie on the other. Maureen had parked across the street, watching to make sure service was clean. You did this, I said. I'm just responding. Father Nowak approached, looking concerned. Linda, if you need to talk. I'm fine. She shoved the papers back in the envelope. I'm fine. But she wasn't. Her hands shook. She looked around at the congregation, Mrs. O'Malley, Mrs. Kowalski, the Brennans, everyone she'd sat with for years. They all looked away. Then Irene Brennan walked past her own daughter, came straight to me, put her hand on Tommy's head. You call me if you need anything, Walt. Babysitting, meals, whatever. Linda's mother, choosing us. A black Mercedes pulled into the lot. Expensive. Out stepped a man in a suit that cost more than my truck. Slicked back hair, cologne you could smell from 10 feet away. Mrs. Kowalski? I'm Richard Vance. We spoke on the phone. Linda's lawyer, the kind who advertises on highway billboards. He looked at the papers, then at me. Mr. Kowalski, I'll be advising my client not to speak with you directly. All communication goes through me. Fine by me. I will be filing a counter petition. Emotional abandonment, financial neglect. My client was left alone for extended periods with no support system. She sought companionship. She sought my pension fund, Eddie said. $43,000 worth. Vance smiled. Didn't reach his eyes. We'll address those allegations in court. Good day. He guided Linda to his car. She looked back once before getting in, not at Tommy, at me. Her face was calculating again, already planning her defense. The next week, the casserole started arriving. Mrs. O'Malley brought tuna noodle on Monday, left it on the porch with a note, "For you and Tommy, God bless." Tuesday, Miss Kowalski dropped off pot roast. You need anything, Walt? Anything at all. Wednesday, 3 Union brothers showed up with pizza and beer. Sat in my living room. Didn't talk about the case. Just showed up. Eddie came by Thursday with paperwork. Got 5 guys who'll attend the hearing. Moral support. Judge will see you're not alone. You don't have to. We're Union, Walt. Nobody touches our brothers. Friday, Mrs. Halloran called. Wanted to meet with Maureen. Brought a file, an inch thick. Tommy's decline documented in detail. Drawings dated and labeled. Grade reports showing the drop from B's to F's. Incident reports for bedwetting, playground fights, withdrawal. A timeline matching exactly with March 1994. I've been teaching 28 years, she told Maureen. I know what trauma looks like. This boy has been drowning since March, and now I know why. Maureen added it to our evidence binder. The thing was getting thick. Pension records, motel receipts, forged documents, medical records, school records, Ray's 1982 files. Linda's lawyer will argue you were absent, Maureen said. We counter with this. Proof you were present for what mattered. School conferences, church, Tommy's games. Then we show that Linda's affair directly caused Tommy's trauma. Timeline's airtight. February 13th, night before the hearing. Tommy couldn't sleep. I found him at 10 o'clock, staring at his ceiling, nightlight casting shadows. What if the judge doesn't believe me? I sat on his bed. Then we'll know we tried. That's more than your grandpa ever did. Grandpa? He kept everything quiet. Never said what he was feeling. Never asked for help. Died alone in the garage because he thought silence was strength. I put my hand on Tommy's shoulder. But he was wrong. Silence protects nobody but the guilty. Will Mom hate me? I wanted to lie. Tell him everything would be fine. She'd understand. Families always work things out. But I'd spent 11 months lying to myself. Maybe for a while. But I'll love you more for your bravery. What do I say if I get scared? Look at me. I'll be right behind you. Hand on your shoulder. There was a knock at the door. Ray holding a thermos. Hot chocolate. Figured the kid might need it. When Ray, who'd never had kids, never knew what to say to them, making hot chocolate at 10 at night because his nephew couldn't sleep. We sat on Tommy's bed, the 3 of us, drank hot chocolate in silence. But it was a different kind of silence. Not the avoiding kind, the comfortable kind. Tommy finally asked, Uncle Ray, why did you and Dad stop talking? Ray looked at me. Pride, stupidity. We fought over your grandpa's will instead of remembering what your grandpa wanted, for us to take care of each other. Are you taking care of each other now? Yeah, kid, we are. Tommy fell asleep around 11. Ray and I stayed in the room watching him breathe. He's braver than us, Ray said. Always has been. Dad would have handled this different. Would have stayed quiet, let it eat him up. I almost did the same thing, but you didn't. You're choosing different. That's harder. We went downstairs. Ray headed for the door, then stopped. Tomorrow, when Tommy's on that stand and he looks scared, you remember something? Dad never told us he loved us. Never said he was proud. Died without saying it once. He looked at me. Don't be Dad. Say the words. After he left, I sat at the kitchen table. Tried to sleep. Couldn't. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Hearing started at 9 a.m. The irony wasn't lost on me. A day about love, and I was ending my marriage. I got up at 5, made coffee, watched the sun come up over the same street I'd watched for 30 years. Tommy came down at 6, dressed in his church clothes without being asked. Ready? I asked. No, but I'm going anyway. That's all courage is, doing it scared. We drove to the courthouse in silence. Eddie met us at the steps. Ray pulled up right behind. Mrs. Halloran arrived with her file. 5 Union brothers, in work coats, standing together. Maureen came last. Let's go prove your family's worth fighting for. We walked in together. The courtroom smelled like old wood and floor polish. Radiator hissing in the corner. February cold seeping through the windows. Judge Patricia Nordstrom's chambers had a photograph on the wall. Her on a frozen lake, holding up a walleye. Ice fishing, working class judge. That gave me hope. Linda sat at the plaintiff's table with Richard Vance. She wore a navy dress, pearls, looked respectable, looked like a woman wronged, not a woman who'd stolen $43,000. Tommy sat in the hallway with Ray, waiting. I'd promised him I'd be visible from the witness stand. Promised I wouldn't leave him alone. Judge Nordstrom entered. We stood. Be seated. This is a petition for divorce with allegations of fraud and adultery, plus emergency custody motion. Mr. Vance, you may begin. Vance stood, smoothed his tie. Your Honor, my client has been married to Walter Kowalski for 30 years. 30 years of an emotionally absent husband. Mr. Kowalski worked 60 to 80 hours per week, including extended periods away from home, 6 weeks at a time. My client was left to raise their son alone, manage the household alone, exist in a marriage that was marriage in name only. He painted me as a ghost, present but absent, providing money but nothing else. Mrs. Kowalski sought emotional support from a family friend, Craig Bellamy, a platonic relationship that Mr. Kowalski has twisted into something sordid. Yes, there were financial irregularities. Mrs. Kowalski made some errors in judgment trying to secure their future, while her husband chased overtime instead of being present. But these are not the actions of a criminal. These are the actions of a desperate, lonely woman. He sat down. It sounded convincing. For a second, I wondered if the judge would buy it. Maureen stood. No fancy suit, just a clean blazer and the evidence binder. Your Honor, loneliness doesn't justify theft. Emotional need doesn't excuse fraud. And no amount of work absence justifies stealing a man's pension and traumatizing his child. And she opened the binder. I have 43,000 reasons why Mrs. Kowalski's actions were criminal, not desperate. May I call my first witness? Proceed. I call Edward Kern. Eddie took the stand, sworn in, sat with his hands folded, calm as Sunday morning. Mr. Kern, you're the union pension administrator? Yes, ma'am. 23 years. Can you explain these withdrawals? She handed him the ledger. Eddie put on his reading glasses. Starting April 1994, someone made withdrawals from Walter Kowalski's pension fund, $2,000 every 2 weeks, total of $43,000 over 11 months. The signatures were forged. Handwriting analysis confirmed it. We compared them to documents signed by Mrs. Kowalski. Perfect match. Vance objected. Hearsay regarding the handwriting analysis. I have the expert's report right here, Your Honor. Maureen submitted it. Certified forensic document examiner. 98% certainty. The signatures are Linda Kowalski's attempt to forge her husband's hand. Judge Nordstrom reviewed it. Objection overruled. Continue. Eddie went through every withdrawal. The dates, the amounts, the pattern. Professional. Devastating. Thank you, Mr. Kern. Maureen called her next witness. Dolores Halloran. Mrs. Halloran took the stand, looked at Tommy through the window. He waved. She smiled. Mrs. Halloran, you're Thomas Kowalski's 3rd grade teacher? Yes, for the full academic year. Can you describe Thomas's behavior in fall of 1993? Excellent student. B average. Participated in class. Well-adjusted. Happy child. And in spring of 1994, Mrs. Halloran's voice tightened. Complete decline. Failing grades starting in March. Bedwetting incidents, fighting on the playground, withdrawal from peers. He drew pictures of a man in Daddy's chair. Yellow hair. When I asked who it was, he said Mom's friend. As she submitted the drawings, dated March through December, a visual timeline of trauma. Did Thomas ever tell you why he was struggling? 2 weeks ago, he said, I made Dad sad by telling a secret. I asked what secret. He said, about Mom's friend sleeping in Dad's bed. Linda whispered something to Vance. He shook his head. Thank you, Mrs. Halloran. Next came Ray. He brought the 1982 documents, explained how Linda had tried to get him to contest Dad's will, showed the pattern. This wasn't impulse, it was method. Then the motel manager, middle-aged woman, looked bored until Vance tried to rattle her. How can you be certain it was Mrs. Kowalski? Because she called him baby at the front desk. Because I saw her every Wednesday for 11 months. Room 114, 2 to 4 p.m. Thought they were married until Mr. Kowalski showed me his wedding photo. Different woman. She submitted the registration cards. 47 of them. Craig's signature on every one. Judge Nordstrom called a recess. Back in 1 hour. We stood in the hallway. Tommy pressed against my side. Is it over? Not yet. Craig's testifying next. Craig showed up 10 minutes before court resumed. Confident stride, gym clothes under a sport coat, smiled at Linda, ignored me. He took the stand like he was doing us a favor. Mr. Bellamy, Maureen began, you were friends with Mrs. Kowalski? Yes. I coached her son's basketball team. We became close. How close? Emotionally supportive. She was lonely. I was there for her. Were you physically intimate? No. Maureen pulled out the motel receipts. You're testifying under oath that you never rented room 114 at the Starlight Motor Inn? Correct. Not once in 11 months? Not once. Maureen handed him the registration cards. This is your signature, correct? Craig looked at them. His confidence flickered. Those could be anyone's. Your Honor, I have a handwriting analysis comparing these signatures to Mr. Bellamy's gym membership applications. Perfect match. Craig's lawyer started to object, but it was too late. Craig was digging deeper. I may have rented a room for business. The gym needed a motel room every Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m.? His face reddened. I want to invoke my Fifth Amendment right. Too late. The damage was done. Judge Nordstrom leaned forward. Mr. Bellamy, I'm not interested in your affairs, but I am interested in perjury. You just testified you never rented that room. Now you're saying you did. Which is it? You're dismissed. And I'm forwarding this transcript to the prosecutor's office. Craig left the stand. Wouldn't look at Linda. Mrs. Cole, any other witnesses? Yes, Your Honor. Thomas Kowalski. The courtroom went quiet. Tommy walked in. 8 years old in a button-up shirt too big for him. Ray had bought it yesterday. I stood and walked him to the stand. Put my hand on his shoulder, met his eyes. I'll be right there. Behind you, the whole time. He nodded. Took the oath in a voice so small the stenographer asked him to repeat it. Maureen kept it simple. Tommy, where did you see Mr. Bellamy? In my dad's room, when Dad was in Pennsylvania. Did you tell your mom you saw him? Yes. What did she say? She said I misunderstood, that I should keep it quiet, that it would hurt Dad. But you told him anyway. Why? Tommy looked at me, then back at Maureen, because keeping quiet hurt more. Judge Nordstrom spoke directly to him. Tommy, do you feel safe with your father? Yes. With your mother? Long pause. I don't know anymore. That was it. 20 words from an 8-year-old, and the case was over. Judge Nordstrom recessed for 14 minutes, came back with her ruling. Full custody to Walter Kowalski. Supervised visitation for Linda Kowalski, contingent on completion of counseling, restitution of $43,000. Restraining order against Craig Bellamy, 500 feet from the child at all times. Mrs. Kowalski has 30 days to vacate the marital home. The gavel came down. We stood on the courthouse steps, February sleet falling. Tommy looked up at me. What happens now? Now we go home, just us. Linda moved out on February 20th. I helped her pack, not out of kindness, but because I wanted it done. She took her clothes, some furniture, the photo albums, left the rest. Craig never came around. Restraining order saw to that. Tommy and I started building new routines. Breakfast at 6:30. I learned to cook eggs without burning them. Tommy laughed the first time I got it right. That laugh was worth more than the $43,000. Homework at the kitchen table after school. I wasn't good at the new math they were teaching, but I could sit with him, be present. That's what Mrs. Halloran said mattered, showing up. Eddie came by on Tuesdays. Taught Tommy basic wiring in the garage. Honest work, honest pay, he'd say, handing Tommy the wire strippers. That's the Kowalski way. Tommy's hands were small, clumsy with the tools, but he tried. Concentrated hard, tongue between his teeth, stripping wire the way Eddie showed him. You're a natural, Eddie said. Really? Really? Got your dad's steady hands. Tommy beamed. First time I'd seen that smile in a year. The casseroles kept coming. Mrs. O'Malley brought tuna noodle every Monday. Mrs. Kowalski dropped off pot roast on Thursdays. They'd leave them on the porch with notes. Thought you boys could use a hot meal, or God bless your household. Church on Sundays. Tommy and I sat with Ray's family now, Eddie's family on the other side. A wall of people around us. Quiet support. Father Nowak pulled me aside one Sunday. How's the boy? Getting better, slowly. And you? Same. You're doing the right thing, Walt. Hard thing, but right thing. That takes courage. I didn't feel courageous, just tired, but I nodded. Tommy's grades started climbing. F's in February, became D's in early March, then C's by mid-March. Mrs. Halloran sent a note home. Tommy smiled in class today, first genuine smile since October. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. The bedwetting stopped. February 28th, last incident. After that, dry nights. Tommy started sleeping through without nightmares. His drawings changed too. Art class assignments came home. Families with 2 people instead of 3. A house, a man, a boy. Fishing rods, sun in the corner. I taped one to the refrigerator. Tommy saw it there the next morning. You like it? I love it. He got quiet. It's just us now. Yeah. Asked him, is that okay? That's more than okay. That's everything. Eddie brought news in early March. Craig's gym closed. Debt collectors came Monday. Building's empty now. Where'd he go? Nobody knows. Left town, no forwarding address. Heard he tried the same setup in Ohio with another woman. Some men never learn. Linda, we heard through Irene, was working at Target. Cashier, living in an apartment on the east side. The supervised visitation was scheduled for every other Saturday. She missed the first one. March 3rd. Tommy waited on the porch in his coat. She never showed. Maybe she forgot, he said. Maybe. She missed the second one too. March 10th. This time Tommy didn't wait on the porch. Just shrugged when I told him she'd called to cancel. It's okay, Dad. Uncle Ray said we could help him fix his fence. We spent the afternoon at Ray's place, hammering posts, stretching chain link, working with our hands. Tommy asked Ray about Grandpa, what he was like, what he did. Your grandpa was quiet, Ray said. Didn't talk much, but he worked hard, built that house you live in with his own hands. Did he love you and Dad? Ray stopped hammering. Yeah. He just didn't know how to say it. Different time. Men didn't talk about feelings. Dad talks about feelings now, Tommy said. Ray looked at me. Yeah, he does. He's smarter than we were. Linda showed up for the third visitation, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. I drove Tommy to McDonald's, neutral ground, supervised by a social worker named Janet, who sat 2 tables away, pretending not to watch. Linda looked smaller, thinner, hair pulled back, no makeup. She hugged Tommy too tight. I missed you, baby. Tommy sat stiff in the hug. Hi, Mom. They ordered Happy Meals, sat across from each other. Linda did most of the talking. How her apartment was coming together, how she had a job now, how things would get better. Tommy picked at his fries, didn't eat much. Are you mad at me? Linda finally asked. I don't know. I made mistakes, big mistakes, but I'm still your mom. I still love you. You made Dad sad. You made me lie. I never asked you to lie. You told me not to tell. That's the same thing. Linda's eyes filled. I was trying to protect you. You were protecting yourself. 8 years old, and he saw it clearer than I had. The hour ended. Linda hugged him goodbye. Tommy let her but didn't hug back. In the truck, he asked, do I have to keep seeing her? Judge says yes, every other Saturday. What if I don't want to? Then we'll tell the judge, but we give it a few tries first. She's still your mom. Are you still married? Divorce finalizes in April. Then, no, we won't be married anymore. Will she come back? No, bud, she won't. He nodded, looked out the window. That's okay. I like it being just us. March 18th, first warm Saturday of the year. 45 degrees, sun bright, snow melting in patches. I went to the garage, climbed the ladder to the rafters. Found my father's fishing rods, green fiberglass, older than Tommy, wrapped in canvas. I brought them down, cleaned the reels, tested the line, still good. My father took care of his things. Tommy came out. What are those? Grandpa's fishing rods. Thought we'd try them out. But now? Ice is breaking on Miller's Creek. Perfect time. His whole face lit up. Really? Really? Go pack sandwiches. I'll get the tackle box. We loaded the truck. Thermos of coffee, bag of sandwiches, my father's old canvas creel. Tommy climbed in the passenger seat. Did Grandpa teach you to fish? Once, when I was about your age. What did you talk about? I started the engine. Nothing. That was the problem. Tommy frowned. What do you mean? Grandpa believed in silence, thought talking about feelings was weakness. So we fished quiet, caught 3 trout, didn't say 10 words. I pulled out of the driveway. But I'm going to teach you different. We're going to talk about everything. Everything? Everything you want. Deal? Deal. We drove toward Miller's Creek. Snow melting on the sides of the road. First robins of spring in the trees. The radio played old country, Merle Haggard singing about simpler times. Tommy fell asleep against the window before we got there. I let him sleep. Looked at him in the rearview mirror. My boy, still healing, still learning to trust again. But lighter now, freer. The ice on the creek was breaking apart, big chunks floating downstream. Winter letting go. Spring coming whether we were ready or not. I woke Tommy when we arrived. We're here. He rubbed his eyes. Looked at the creek, the sun, the rods in the truck bed. This is going to be good, isn't it, Dad? Yeah, son, it is. Miller's Creek looked like I remembered. Same bend in the water, same flat rocks for sitting, same cottonwoods leaning over the banks, My father brought me here once when I was 9. We caught 2 trout and didn't say 20 words between us. I wasn't going to make that mistake. Tommy carried the tackle box. I had the rods and the creel. We found a good spot where the current ran smooth, water clear enough to see the bottom. First thing, I said, kneeling next to him, we tie a clinch knot. Watch close. I showed him. Thread the line through the eye, wrap it 5 times, bring it back through, pull it tight, slow and steady. You try. His fingers fumbled. The line slipped. He tried again. Take your time. Rush it, and it slips when you need it most. Third try, he got it. Pulled tight, tested the strength. Perfect. We cast out. Tommy's first attempt tangled in the branches behind us. He laughed instead of getting frustrated. That was new. A good new. Like this. I showed him the motion. Smooth arc, let the weight carry the line. His next cast landed in the water. Not far, but good enough. We sat on the rocks, sun warming our necks, creek running over stones, red-winged blackbirds calling from the cattails. Dad? Yeah? Did you ever love Mom? I've been waiting for that question. Had my answer ready. Very much, for a long time. When did you stop? When I realized she loved something else more. Money, or the idea of a different life, wasn't sudden, was slow, like ice melting. Tommy watched his line. Will she come back? No, and that's okay. Some people aren't meant to stay. He was quiet for a while. Then, am I like her? That one hurt, cut deeper than the rest. Tommy, look at me. He turned. His eyes were wet. You're like you. You get to choose who you become. Every day you choose. That's the gift. I put my hand on his shoulder. You chose to tell the truth even when it was scary. You chose bravery over silence. That's not your mom. That's not your grandpa. That's you. What if I make bad choices? Then you make different choices the next day. That's what being a man is. Not being perfect, just trying to do better. He nodded, wiped his eyes with his sleeve. A fish bumped his line. He jumped. Did you see that? Set the hook. Pull back! He yanked. The line went tight, then slack. Whatever it was got away. Aw, man. That's fishing. More getting away than getting caught. But you felt it, right? Yeah. And that's what matters. Showing up, trying, being here. We fished for 2 more hours. Didn't catch a thing. Didn't matter. Tommy cast out one more time. Hooked a stick. Reeled it in slow, saw what it was, and laughed. Not even close. I laughed too. First real laugh I'd had in months. We packed up around 3. Tommy carried the tackle box back to the truck, walking ahead of me on the path. Dad? Yeah, Bud? Thanks for believing me. I stopped walking. Those words hit harder than I expected. Thank you for being brave enough to tell. We drove home in comfortable silence. Not the avoiding kind my father taught me, the easy kind. The kind where you don't need words because you're both exactly where you're supposed to be. Tommy fell asleep against the window, radio playing low. I looked at him in the rearview mirror, mouth open, head tilted, fishing rod between us on the bench seat. My boy, my brave boy. We pulled into the driveway as the sun was setting. Same house my father built in 1952, same aluminum siding, same chain link fence, but different now, lighter. Some legacies you keep, the house, the tools, the rods, the honest work. Some you leave behind, the silence, the fear, the shame. Tommy stirred awake. We home? Yeah, we're home. Good day, Dad? Best day in a long time, son. We walked inside together. 2-person family, complete. I made dinner, spaghetti only slightly burned. Tommy set the table. We ate and talked about school, about Uncle Ray's fence project, about whether we'd try fishing again next Saturday. After dinner, Tommy went upstairs to do homework. I cleaned the dishes, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table. His drawing was still on the refrigerator. 2 figures, a house, fishing rods, sun into the corner. I looked at it for a long time. 30 years I'd wired houses, made sure every connection was clean, every circuit safe, but I'd never checked the wiring in my own home. Never saw the short circuits, the blown fuses, the dangerous connections. Tommy saw it. An 8-year-old saw what I'd missed. He saved us both. Upstairs, I heard him brushing his teeth. Normal sounds, good sounds. I went up to say goodnight. He was already in bed. Night, Dad. Night, son. I turned to leave. Dad? Yeah? I love you. 3 words, simple, true. I stood in the doorway. My father never said them, not once in 68 years. He showed love by working, by providing, by being there. But he never said the words, and I'd almost made the same mistake. I love you too, Tommy. And I'm proud of you. Prouder than I know how to say. His smile was worth everything. Every court appearance, every dollar spent on lawyers, every hard conversation. "You're a good dad," he said. "I'm trying to be." "You are." I turned off his light, went downstairs, sat on the porch, even though it was cold. The street was quiet, same street I'd known for 62 years. But I was seeing it different now. Tomorrow we'd get up, make breakfast, go to church. Uncle Ray would sit with us. Eddie would ask about the fishing trip. Mrs. O'Malley would bring in another casserole. We'd build a new normal, a better normal. The porch light flickered, old wiring. I'd fix it next weekend. Some things break so you can rebuild them, right? I went inside, locked the door, checked on Tommy one more time. Sleeping sound, breathing easy. That was all that mattered. We were home. We were safe, we were together, everything else was just details. That was 30 years ago. Tommy's 60 now. Still an electrician like me, like his grandpa before me. Works for the same union local. Married a good woman named Sarah. They got 2 kids, both grown, both doing fine. He turned out good, better than good. He talks to his kids, says "I love you" without being asked, shows up to their lives not just with a paycheck, but with his whole self. Broke the curse I almost passed on to him. Linda? Don't know where she ended up. Heard through Irene she moved to Florida sometime in the 2000s. Tommy sent her a card once when his first kid was born. Never got a reply. That's okay. Some doors close for good reason. Craig's gym closed that spring of '95. Heard he tried the same scheme in Ohio. Found another lonely woman, another pension to raid. Some men never learn. Some men don't want to. But that's not my story anymore. That winter was the end of something, but also the beginning. Tommy called last week. Said he was bringing the grandkids over for Christmas Eve. His boy's 8 now. Same age Tommy was when he whispered that secret in the dark. I'm 92. Still living in the house my father built. Still got his tools hanging in the garage. Still got those green fiberglass fishing rods on the rafters. Yesterday, Tommy's boy asked me, "Grandpa Walt, why don't you talk about Grandma Linda?" Tommy answered before I could. Because some stories teach by what they don't say. Great-grandpa Walt taught me that silence protects nobody but the guilty. But I added, but speaking up, that's the hardest wiring job there is. Your dad did it when he was 8 years old. Saved both our lives. The boy thought about that, then nodded, like he understood. Maybe he did. Maybe that's how wisdom passes. Not through long speeches, but through simple truths spoken at the right time. I learned something that winter of '94. Learned it the hard way. Like most important things get learned. Love isn't staying quiet. It's staying honest. Some wins don't sound like crowds cheering. They sound like paper rustling in a courtroom. They sound like a boy's whisper in the dark. They sound like "I love you," said out loud for the first time. My father worked 47 years with his hands. Came home with burns and cuts, never complained. Built this house board by board. He thought that was love. And it was. Just incomplete. I almost made the same mistake. Almost taught Tommy that silence equals strength. That you swallow pain and push through. Thank God the boy was braver than me. Braver than my father. Brave enough to speak when it mattered most. That's legacy. Not the house, though I'm glad Tommy has it now. Not the tools, though his boy's learning to use them. The real legacy is words. Is breaking the silence. Is choosing honesty over comfort, truth over peace, courage over quiet. Tommy's truck just pulled up outside. I can hear the grandkids arguing about who gets to sit in Grandpa's recliner. Same chair Craig sat in 30 years ago, but that doesn't matter now. That chair's been sat in by better men since. The Christmas lights are up, same pattern I've strung for 60 years. Tommy's boy helped me yesterday, standing on the ladder while I held it steady, roles reversed. That's how it should be. I look at this house, these walls, this street. 30 years ago, my son whispered a truth that broke my heart. Best thing that ever happened to both of us. Turns out, love isn't staying quiet, it's staying honest, and that's the work. Every day, for as long as you're breathing. Some legacies you keep, some you fix. That's all any of us can do.